Storming Bracket!
What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. This is obviously my review for the 2022 comedy film that stars Nicolas Cage, The Unbreakable Weight of Massive Talent. This is a movie that I was very much so looking forward to, given the fact that it stars Nicolas Cage playing himself. In addition, it's also a meta-comedy. Meta-comedies obviously can be very hit or miss. When it works, such as like 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, the Lego Movie, and of course, recently, The Matrix Resurrections, which personally, I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but for me, the humor really worked. I was howling laughing during many scenes in that movie. So I was going into this movie though open-minded because truthfully, when the trailers were on in the theaters that I would go see, movies in, the trailers didn't really necessarily grab my attention, but I also just am someone that tries to stay away from trailers. So when the trailer would come on, I would just immediately go on my phone because I was like, I'm going to watch it. I know I'm going to watch it. It's a comedy starring Nicolas Cage. That's all I need to know. So I didn't really know anything about it other than that. And the other thing I wanted to say is, fortunately enough with this movie, I'm filming this review on March 30th of 2022. So I did get to see this movie early. It technically comes out April 22nd of 2022. So I got to see it, 3 weeks early. And the crowd that I saw this movie with clearly were huge Nicolas Cage fans because they were really, really vibing with this movie. There's a lot of humor in this movie that I feel like if you are a hardcore Nicolas Cage fan and have seen all of his work, you're going to get. You're going to really kind of dig into and really appreciate. I, for myself, haven't seen a lot of Nicolas Cage movies, but I've seen enough to where I was able to pick up on the humor. And even some instances where I hadn't seen the movie, I was still able to pick up on it. Like Face Off is a movie that I'm unfortunately enough saying this now, but I haven't seen the movie as of the filming of this video. But I was still able to pick up on the references to said movie. And honestly, this movie, the biggest thing I will say is that it makes me want to go into his filmography and watch the ones that I haven't seen because this movie is a lot of fun. Nicolas Cage is clearly having a ball. He is a really, really good actor. He is an entertainer, and here he is full force. He just really delivers the goods, honestly. And furthermore, I might add this. Pedro Pascal is an actor that I greatly respect and I greatly admire. But if you had told me that his chemistry with Nicolas Cage would be the best part of this movie, I probably wouldn't believe you. But here we are, and I'm saying this. They are great together. They have a lot of comedic bits that just work wonders. There's one involving Paddington 2. Which I might add, I do own and I would highly recommend it. They talk about Paddington 2 and they say about how, it's actually really a great movie and they end up watching it and the one character's like, oh my goodness, it was great. And it's like, yeah, of course it's great. So I was just glad that this movie that many people are probably going to check out honestly mentions that this movie Paddington 2 is great because I feel like not many people seem to talk about it, unfortunately. So I liked that. And I also like the fact that this movie tackles the state of Hollywood now. The state of Hollywood and how it's so obsessed with Star Wars, Marvel, and how if you're not one of those properties, you're probably not going to make that much money. Most people do not want to see a movie where there's just two guys that are just talking and vibing out. And that's what this movie is. So I like that. I like that whole meta nature to this movie. And I think that for the most part, the meta humor works very, very well. There's side characters, too, that I also think that could have been a bit more developed, but I did like the actual acting by them. Tiffany Haddish is in this, Sharon Hogan, Neil Patrick Harris is in this. Neil Patrick Harris I quite liked. He's not in it that much, but he's in enough to where I was able to say, yep, you did a really good job, man. And obviously, as I mentioned, Pedro Pascal is also in this, and he does a really good job. Very, very surprised by his work. The other thing I wanted to mention about this movie is that there are some action scenes towards the end, which I don't want to spoil, but there are jokes made about the third act before the third act occurs that really quite worked. But I will say the third act, when there was action, it actually was pretty well choreographed. Now, that being said, I do want to talk about negatives to mixed things that I felt about this movie because although I enjoyed this movie quite a bit, it is definitely not perfect. Not in the slightest. I think the biggest thing for me personally is just that this movie's second act does kind of halt in terms of pacing and it takes a little bit to kind of get going again. The other thing is that, as mentioned earlier, some of the characters just aren't really that developed that well. And they almost feel like chess pieces as in they're not really actual characters. But again, the actors playing them are having a lot of fun. So I will say that I enjoyed seeing them. I just didn't really enjoy the fact that they weren't really that developed. And then the other thing is this movie is very, very lightweight. Like in the moment, as I'm filming this video, I'm saying that I'm enjoying it and everything, but I truthfully know in a couple of days, I'm probably not going to remember a lot about this movie, unfortunately. But that being said, I still would highly recommend you guys check out this movie, especially if you really like Nicolas Cage and if you've seen a lot of his movies. For everyone else, if you're like myself that hasn't seen like a lot of his movies, I still think that you'll be vibing with this movie and you'll have a really good time because the humor is good. Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage work really well with each other. The filmmaking, it's not amazing or anything, but it is definitely passable. And overall, I would definitely say this movie is entertaining and worth your time. And that is why The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I personally will be giving a... So yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts on The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. What a title. Holy cow, what a title. But let me know your thoughts down below on the movie, guys. And as always, with the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.